But we begin tonight with storms rolling through our region. Check out radar from Storm Team 4 showing showers picking up across the DMV after most of us saw temperatures in the mid to upper 80s today. So how long will this rain stick with us? Storm Team 4 meteorologist Amelia Draper is tracking all of it for us tonight. We saw a little bit of everything today, Amelia.
We did, Jim. Our official high 87 degrees, 1 degree shy of tying the record of 88. Now I'm continuing to track some thunderstorms and downpours making their way through the area, but not a lot of severe weather, thankfully, out there tonight. That being said, where it's raining, it is pouring. Here's the latest right now on Storm Team 4 radar. The most rain is now east of Washington, moving through parts of Anne Arundel, Calvert, St. Mary's, and Charles County, starting to cross over the bay, impacting parts of the Bay Bridge right now. Also tracking a nasty little storm that once had a severe thunderstorm warning with it, moving out of Washington County into Frederick County, still west of 15. So throughout the evening and overnight hours, we're going to continue to track some areas of rain. Now the severe weather threat really diminishing as the sun starts to go down. That being said, moderate to heavy rain into parts of Anne Arundel and Calvert counties right now at around Deal, Shadyside, even Annapolis seeing some of that heavier rain. Looking farther back to the west, still some unsettled rain that's going to work through the region tonight. So timing this out 9 o'clock, we start to see more widespread rain returning to areas around the Mason-Dixon line, including back into parts of the panhandle of West Virginia. Here in the D.C. metro area, it looks like we're going to have some downpours, Jim, moving through around about 11 p.m. until 1 a.m. So folks are light sleepers. Some heavy rain may be waking you up, and cooler tomorrow. Much more in my full forecast.
All right, we'll see in a bit. Amelia, thank you. Now to the latest from the Supreme Court and an upcoming decision that could impact millions of people living in our country. The court is considering arguments surrounding President Trump's controversial order limiting birthright citizenship for people born on American soil. As it stands now, the 14th Amendment states all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. The executive order would only give that constitutional right to people who have at least one parent who is a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. But both liberal and conservative justices seem to push back against the White House argument today and question the legality and logistics of the order.
How does this work? Are you suggesting that when a baby is born, people have to have documents, present documents? Is this happening in the delivery room? How are we determining when or whether a newborn child is a citizen of the United States under your rule?
The Trump administration maintains that we're in a new world since the 14th Amendment passed, but Chief Justice John Roberts fired back. It's a new world. It's the same Constitution. Joining us now to talk about this monumental case again is NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach. Gary, thanks for taking time with us. We appreciate it. You just heard those remarks from Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and Justice Roberts. What else stood out to you that you heard today from the justices?
A couple big things here. One, I think the practicality is a huge part of it. You mentioned it there. Associate Justice Amy Coney Barrett calling this potentially a messy situation. Associate Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson saying, what are you going to do? Bring pregnant women in for depositions? How exactly is this going to work? There were not a lot of answers as to how exactly this was going to work from Solicitor General John Sauer. He suggested that perhaps people will be able to challenge not being considered a U.S. citizen or their babies not being considered a U.S. citizen after they're born and after they're told that their child is not a U.S. citizen. And of course, this is going to impact tens of thousands of people as soon as this could eventually come down from the Supreme Court at the end of June or early July. The other big thing I think that was discussed today was the idea that there's not much case law that John Sauer, the Solicitor General, had to really rely on here. And this was on both sides of the ideological spectrum, this idea. We had Neil Gorsuch saying, what are you doing, relying on Roman law sources, as in sources from 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Justice Kagan saying she thought some of these sources and some of this case law that he was relying on was obscure in nature. So, of course, the 14th Amendment was written in 1884 and 1886. So that was certainly a long time ago. But some of what is in there is still very much an issue today.
This was also the first time a sitting president was in on those oral arguments today. Tell us a little bit about the significance of President Trump's attendance.
Yeah, President Trump has visited the Supreme Court twice before, once for the investitures, which is like a formal ceremony when both Justice Kavanaugh and Justice Gorsuch were named to the Supreme Court, but he never actually sat in for arguments before, and no president has ever sat in for arguments before, and there's a real reason for that, right? The Supreme Court is always supposed to be seen as this independent branch, this co-equal third branch of government that is very politically separate from Congress, from the White House, and when President Trump walked in to the Supreme Court courthouse today, our colleague Lawrence Hurley was there in the room. He said, in fact, he walked in just like anybody else would have. He walked in, he sat down in the public area, he sat in the first row of the general public, and sat through the entirety of the government's arguments. He did leave halfway through the arguments for the ACLU, so we didn't get to fully hear what Cecilia Wang had to say.
Gary, is there any path for the Supreme Court to rule in favor of the president?
So there are some legal scholars that believe that perhaps the Supreme Court could sort of split the baby here, if you will. In terms of the similar text that is in the 14th Amendment, it is also existing in the Immigration and Nationality Act, which was passed by Congress. So perhaps what the Supreme Court could do is strike down the Immigration and Nationality Act portion of this text, but not touch the 14th Amendment. That would put the ball into Congress's court. Now, would Congress ever do something like slashing the 14th Amendment or changing the 14th Amendment? That seems like a really high bar to reach there. It certainly doesn't seem like something that would happen today. Based on what we heard from the arguments, it does appear like the Supreme Court will be upholding the 14th Amendment.
All right. Thank you for sharing your insights. NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach. We appreciate you taking time with us. Well, this case has generated widespread interest. Today, there was a large crowd of people making their voices heard outside the court. Mauricio Casillas spoke to some of those demonstrators.
Overwhelmingly, the people who came down to protest were in favor of keeping birthright citizenship as is. Many of them argued that getting rid of it would hurt immigrant families, putting them in limbo. There were a handful of other protesters who were in favor of President Trump's executive order. As mentioned, the president was in attendance, but he left before oral arguments ended. Protesters outside the high court calling on justices to protect birthright citizenship. President Trump's executive order would restrict citizenship to anyone born in the U.S. who has at least one parent who is a citizen or a permanent resident. Different advocacy groups, including local immigrants' rights organization CASA, sharing stories of how the president's executive order could negatively impact their members.
On the legal side, if the executive order were to go into effect, chaos would ensue. There would be children who are born who are stateless.
Last year, CASA filed a lawsuit along with a group of pregnant women with pending asylum claims challenging the Trump administration's executive order. Their case is not the one being reviewed by the Supreme Court, but they did file an amicus brief in support of the ACLU, which is arguing the case against the Trump administration.
We have members who are pregnant, who recently gave birth, who are hoping to give birth or have kids, building their lives and their families here. So it really throws into uncertainty what has been settled law and accepted as settled law for over a century.
Protesters were not able to get a vantage point of the president's motorcade arriving or leaving, but plenty had something to say about his attendance.
I think the president being there today is a political move, a desperate move. I think he knows that the law is not on his side.
While the overwhelming majority of demonstrators were there protesting the Trump administration's policy, there were a few people, including Frank Lucas, who supported getting rid of birthright citizenship. He says he's a naturalized citizen.
On a personal perspective, there's somewhat of a resentment that I had to wait decades to get my citizenship because I came the legal way. Or basically what they're saying is my parents were a bunch of fools, they were idiots, they were stupid because they followed the law, which is why I had to wait decades to get birthright citizenship.
Many of those advocates that I spoke with who were in favor of keeping birthright citizenship believe that they will prevail, that the Supreme Court will rule in their favor. But again, that's not going to come down until later in the summer. Reporting outside the Supreme Court, Mauricio Casillas, News 4.
This is a complicated case with strong opinions on both sides. We're working for you to break it all down and explain how this could impact you and your neighbors. When we're off air, you can find all our latest reporting in the NBC Washington app, where you can have breaking news alerts sent directly to your phone. Now for some of today's other top stories, a star cornhole player now charged with murder in Charles County, Maryland. He made his first court appearance today. Dayton Weber is charged with shooting and killing a passenger in his car. Weber is a quadruple amputee who gained fame overcoming physical challenges. Today, a judge ruled to hold him without bond, while his attorney maintains he acted in self-defense. The man accused of killing a visiting teacher on Catholic University's campus says the shooting was unintentional. Jamie Macedo took the stand in his own defense today, telling the court he did not pull the trigger, but the gun was in his pocket and just went off. A naked burglar has struck again in Fairfax County. The Fairfax County Police Department has released a new video looking for this man breaking into homes around the Centerville area, all while naked. The man was seen on camera trying to break into a home this morning and fled into a wooded area when the door didn't open. Police say they believe he's the same man who broke into 4 homes last month. Maryland court officials are warning about fake texts that claim to be from the Baltimore City District Court. The messages claim you have parking or toll violations. They often list the name of a judge and a specific court date and location, and say immediate action is required to avoid fines or even a suspended license. The Maryland judiciary stresses the courts will never ask for payment or personal information by text, phone, or email. Much more to come tonight on the News 4 Rundown, but first, let's check back in with Amelia.
Hey, Jim, here's what you can expect tonight, throughout the day, tomorrow on into the weekend. So I continue to track scattered storms and downpours tonight. It's going to be much cooler tomorrow, and rain, unfortunately, looking likely throughout the day on Easter Sunday. My full forecast after the break.
7 RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff.
A team of 4 astronauts now on their way to space for a historic mission around the moon. The Artemis 2 rocket just lifted off from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The mission won't include a landing on the moon. The purpose of this mission is to test the Orion spacecraft's life support systems, and they hope it will help pave the way for future trips to land on the moon. Watch parties took place across the country, including here at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. News 4's Joseph Almo was there.
3, 2, 1. Lift off. Lift off. Woo! Woo! And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. The first time humans are headed around the moon in more than half a century. We're here at NASA Goddard today. The applause, the excitement is in the air. Dr. Young, you work here at Goddard. You're one of the hundreds of people who live in the DMV responsible for this, who's worked on this project.
It's amazing. I can't believe it. I was a baby the last time they went back to the moon, and
look at that.
It's phenomenal. It is so phenomenal.
What goes through your head when you see that?
I'm just in awe. I'm absolutely in awe, and I never thought I would see anything like this in my lifetime.
And the next stop is the surface of the moon.
The surface, yeah. They're going to do another test fly around the moon to prepare, and then they're going to be stepping on the surface of the moon in a whole new area they've never been to before.
But first, they're doing a donut around the moon.
That's right. That's right. And actually, this is really cool because this flight is a combination of the orbit of Apollo 8, where they saw the Earthrise, and the flight that was able to save Apollo 13 is actually similar to the flight coming back.
This mission is not just about flying around the moon and then eventually landing on the moon and setting up kind of more of a permanent base. It's also about pushing us further than we've ever gone before, going to Mars, right?
Absolutely. This is just one step, taking one step at a time. This is a critical step to lay that foundation and to make the next big leap.
I believe it was a couple years ago. He said it's one
small step for human,
and a giant leap for mankind.
Yep.
Wow. Here we are at NASA Goddard, a very, very historic day as people are still taking in the moment. We'll send it back to you guys.
Watching from a distance is one we'll never forget. It was pretty textbook so far.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. If offered the chance to travel to space, would you go? You can chime in right now on NBCWashington.com/vote. I know how Amelia is voting. She got your hand up first.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
100%. I'll go and make, like you said earlier, make sure it's good for you, and then you can come
Exactly.
along.
Then I'll
and
follow your lead.
Put our moon boots on and have a party up there.
Love it. You kind of need rain boots out there tonight, huh?
Yeah, tracking some storms, some downpours moving through the area. This is going to cool us down for tomorrow. So looking at your weather headlines, scattered rain and storms tonight. Tomorrow, temperatures are in the 60s. There could be a shower around later in the day, especially north and west of Washington. It's not a terrible day, but it's not as fabulous as it was today. Gorgeous, though, on Friday and Saturday. Saturday, I'm tracking record warmth. In the forecast, we look to tie our high of 85 degrees set back in 2011. And unfortunately, on Sunday, it's looking like a rainy day now, potentially from start to finish. Here's the latest right now on radar. You can see the heaviest rain crossing over the bay. The bright colors there on Storm Team 4 radar. Some heavy rain also up into parts of Frederick County, passing over 15 just north of the city, impacting parts of Thurmont, and then taking you down to the south. This heavy rain moving through southern Maryland, making its way toward Cambridge and Easton. As this rain moves out, I think we see another round of rain back to our west that impacts the D.C. metro area between about 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. Some downpours are possible, not seeing really widespread weather. And we didn't really have, or I should say widespread severe weather. And we really didn't have severe weather today for the most part. We saw some small hail into parts of Manassas, and that was about it. Our temperatures tomorrow morning, they're cooler. We woke up this morning already near 70 degrees. Tomorrow morning, notice Washington at 62. As we head towards lunchtime, there's the timestamp. We really haven't seen our temperatures warm up all that much. 65. At best, we hit 66 tomorrow in the district. But here's the thing. Check this out. The big temperature spread across the area tomorrow from 55 in Baltimore for a high, 66 in Washington, and then 82 degrees back in Luray. So huge temperature spread across the area tomorrow from the northeast to the southwest. As we continue on into the late afternoon and evening hours, that cold air will successfully start to push farther into the region. So it's going to be kind of a chilly start, relatively speaking, on Friday morning, 8 a.m. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s, so you might want the light jacket early. The kids don't need it. They'll be fine. By the afternoon, temperatures will be in the low 80s. So kind of cool start on Friday, a nice afternoon. Overall, Friday is looking fabulous, but after plenty of clouds and maybe a shower out there later in the day tomorrow. The chance of rain tomorrow coming in at 30%. Again, Friday looking really nice, a high of 82, 20 degrees above normal. Saturday, it's hot for this time of year, feeling more like June than early April. Sunday, good chance for rain. That includes if you're heading to church services or for the Easter egg hunts. As we look to next week, a heads up, kind of a shock to the system. It's chilly Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Temperatures mainly in the 50s to near 60 degrees for highs. At least we do recover by the end of next week. But again, Jim, tomorrow, not as fantastic as it has been, but that is a one-day only affair. Back to beautiful weather on Friday.
Cannot wait. All right, we've been teased with it. Amelia, thanks so much. The News 4 Rundown will be right back after this short break. But first, JP Finley is joining us in the studio with one of our region's top basketball prospects. Hey, JP.
Hey, Jim, you're right. The Capital Classic is an institution in the DMV. Some of the best high school basketball talent in the country, and it's coming this weekend. You'll get to meet one of the stars in that game and one of the coaches as we return on the Rundown.
This Saturday, the DMV's best basketball players take on the best from the rest of the United States. The 53rd annual Capital Classic takes place at Capital One Arena. JP joins us now with one of the star players. JP.
That's right, Jim. I've never felt so short standing on this set. But not only do we have one of the star players in Shane Pendergrass, we also have a DMV hoops legend, the Junkyard Dog on NBC4. Jerome Williams played his college ball at Georgetown. A lot of years in the NBA. Fellas, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, the Capital Classic is a really big deal. I remember going to what was then called MCI Center, I think, to watch LeBron James play in this game. Magic Johnson has played in this game. I mean, this is one of the absolute biggest basketball showcases in the country. I mean, take a look at some of the names that have been a part of this game, and you realize, you know, the talent. Anybody heard of Michael Jordan? But Jerome, I want to start with you. What's it mean for you to be involved in this as a DMV hoops guy and to get to coach this kind of talent?
Oh, this is a huge honor. You know, I was so appreciative to be asked to coach the team. And it's all about the locals where, you know, when you played on the streets of Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, being homegrown, you know what this game means to the community. You know what it means to a lot of the kids that grow up who aspire to play in it and want to make it to greater and greater heights. So I'm glad to and honored to be chosen to be able to coach this team because it's a mob.
Some
it's a
talent.
mob. Yeah, I don't know how much coaching I need to do. I'll be over there barking more than coaching.
It's an all-star game. You can be yelling at him to hustle back on defense, dive on the floor like you used to for the Hoyas.
That's right. And this is their proving ground. They're all going right to good colleges, good institutions to continue their basketball careers, and we want to showcase the best talent that DMV has to offer because it's DMV versus everybody.
I love it. DMV versus the world. Now, Shane, let's talk about you. 4-star recruit, committed to George Mason, going to play for Coach Tony Skinn. You are from PG County. We were talking about it before. You're an Upper Marlboro guy. You went to Hargrave Military Academy for your high school basketball. What has your journey been like to this point?
It's definitely been a lot of ups and downs, definitely a lot of doubters, definitely had to prove a lot of people wrong, but nonetheless, definitely just kept persevering, and now we're here where we are now.
How many of these guys in the game on Saturday, and for folks that want to go, the girls' game and the boys' game are at Capital One Arena. I'm sure you can get tickets. It's always fun to go to that game. How many of the guys you're going to be playing with have you known for a year, 2 years, 10 years?
Shoot, I know all of them, man. Coming from the DMV, playing basketball, it's a small area, so growing up with all of these guys, playing with them, playing against them, I know all of these guys, man.
When did you know that basketball was going to become your, not profession, right? But like your passion, this is something I'm going to chase it, take it to the highest level I can get.
Yeah, when I was younger, we were trying a lot of different sports, baseball, soccer, football. We was never really good at any of them. Then I hit a growth spurt, quarantine came around. I told my mom basketball is what I wanted to do, and being a mom, she went hard.
I met Mom. Yep. I believe she pushed you.
Yep, she went hard. My dad went hard. Everybody.
What were your workouts like? Like, what were you doing? Like 1,000 shots a day during COVID or something?
Starting early, it was a struggle. Being bad at basketball, couldn't hit a shot, couldn't dribble with my left hand, had to look at the floor dribbling. So it was a struggle, but definitely having two parents, having a village around me to push me to be great.
Family's everything. Now, Jerome, you know what it meant to have your college coach matter to you in Big John Thompson, right?
Absolutely.
Now, we got a special message for you from head coach Tony Skinn of George Mason. This is Coach Skinn talking to Shane. You don't know this is coming.
What's up, NBC4? I'm going on record to say Shane Pendergrass is one of the best players in the DMV. Make sure you support him at the Capital Classic this weekend. Shane, we can't wait to have you on campus this summer. See you soon.
Mason plays some good basketball.
Oh,
that arena gets rocking.
Oh, yeah.
That conference is tough. How excited are you to get started at Mason?
Man, I'm so excited, really. Just like I said, it's been a long time coming, so I'm excited to get on here and showcase what I can do in front of all of these great fans, play with a great coach. I've been building a relationship with Coach Skinn and the staff for a long time, so I'm very excited to get out there.
We're excited to be watching. I'll be there. Folks should check it out Saturday at Capital One Arena. The girls' game is first, then the boys. It's going to be a blast. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in studio. JYD, it's an honor, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Shane, thank you, bud.
Thank you, Ryan.
Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Jake.
Great to see you.
See you on the sidelines.
Yeah, you will. All right, Jim, it's all yours.
So exciting on this launch day. They are launching a new career there. So exciting. Shane and the proud parents are in the studio with us, too. That does it for us. News 4 11 will head your way next. Have a great night, everybody.